Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Stand still, that's the motto, yeah. Brand new bands for the auto, oh. Foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield guy, boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it out big. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't ever do it, okay, how's this? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To-do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Look, flows the same now. Paved the way to snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back to back, I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
Artificiell intelligens förändrar vårt sätt att leva och arbeta. AI kan hjälpa oss att automatisera uppgifter, optimera processer, skapa insikter och släppa loss vår kreativitet. En av de AI-tillämpningar som kan hjälpa dig att bli mer produktiv är Microsoft 365 Copilot. En smart och mångsidig assistent som fungerar med dina Microsoft 365-applikationer. Välkommen till det här webbinariet där vi visar dig hur Copilot kan hjälpa dig att jobba smartare och snabbare med dina applikationer. Mitt namn är Daniel Sundelin. Copilot är en kraftfull AI-assistent som kan hjälpa dig att skriva, redigera, samarbeta och presentera i dina dokument, kalkylblad, e-postmeddelanden och chattar. Vi kommer att demonstrera några av funktionerna i Copilot som till exempel hur du kan skapa dokument och förändra stil och ton i Microsoft Word. Hur man använder Copilot för att analysera data, skapa diagram, generera insikter och sammanfattningar i Microsoft Excel. Hur man använder Copilot för att designa attraktiva och engagerande bilder i PowerPoint. Hur man använder Copilot för att skriva e-postmeddelanden och hantera din inkorg i Outlook. Och också hur du kan använda Copilot för att kommunicera och samarbeta med dina team och hålla dig organiserad och produktiv i Microsoft Teams. Under webbinariet får ni jättegärna ställa frågor så får ni svar av Ateas experter. Ställ frågorna i chatten så kommer vi också att ta fram svaren där. Vi hoppas att det här webbinariet ska hjälpa dig att upptäcka nya sätt att arbeta med Copilot till din fördel.
Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar about Copilot for Microsoft 365. My name is Christopher Hansen and I work as a Chief Consultant in Atea. And together with me today I have Vibeke Sundt, a Technical Specialist in Microsoft. And we are going to present a demo of Copilot for Microsoft 365 for you today. But first, let's start by giving you a short introduction to what Copilot for M365 is. Copilot is integrated into Microsoft 365 in two ways. First of all, it works alongside you, embedded in the apps we use every day. Everything from the well-known apps we can see on this slide, including the new app Loop, but also other apps like Whiteboard, and soon OneDrive and SharePoint will have Copilot features. In addition to being integrated into all productivity apps, Copilot will also be available as a chatbot. This chatbot has been named Microsoft 365 Chat, and it's accessible, or it has access on all your data that you as a user has access to. It's very similar to ChatGPT, only that the data source here is your internal data as well. It will collect data across documents, presentations, emails, calendar, notes, and contacts to be able to summarize long chat threads, write emails, find important data for you, and also produce content for you based on what's here. Now let's look on how Copilot works.
Yes, so let's have a closer look at the different components of Microsoft 365 Copilot and a bit closer into how it actually works. First of all, we have the large language models, the different models and GPT models that drive the AI part of Copilot. But what really makes Copilot unique is how it's grounded and connects to your information and your data through the Microsoft Graph, meaning your chats, your files, your calendar, your different contacts and information you have access to today in Microsoft 365. So this is able to be picked up by Copilot, and you can then access this through the Microsoft applications. In addition to this, it's also possible to connect to the internet to make sure that you have the most relevant and newest answers in your prompts. To show a bit more visually how this goes on in the background, it all starts in the Microsoft 365 application, where the user writes out their prompts. What happens then is that this prompt will go in a grounding process through a pre-processing through the graph, picking up relevant information that you have access to that's relevant to this prompt. By doing this, it will help to modify and specify the specific prompt that you want to achieve through the applications. And this will be sent to the LLM to enrich this new information and reply back to you. So this goes back to the graph again for a second post-processing, where also responsible AI principles are taken into account to make sure that the responses coming out of the LLMs are non-biased and in thread with the responsible AI principles. And not least, the user will then get the reply back in the application. So all of this goes on behind the scenes when you ask prompts using Copilot. Having a closer look at the security aspect of Copilot, we like to say that Microsoft 365 Copilot is an extended hand of yourself. So all the information that you have access to today in Microsoft 365 is the exact same information that Copilot can also access when using your data. The only difference here is really how the ease of how Copilot can access this information and easier to find different information that you have access to, meaning that we have to consider different accesses and the information we do have access to in our organization to make sure that we have the right access to the different files and documents and such. In addition, Copilot inherits the same security, compliance, and privacy settings that your organization has for Microsoft 365 already. But another important element of this is also the responsible AI part, now that we're bringing AI into the organization. And here Microsoft has 6 different responsible AI principles that we implement both before and when using AI such as Copilot. It's also important to mention that Copilot does not train on any of the data that you put in or get out using Copilot at all, and your data is still your data. I mentioned that you can connect to the graph, pulling information from the graph. You can also connect to the internet, accessing information from there. But now with Copilot, it's also possible to connect to external data that you use every day by connecting through plugins and different connectors to access more relevant and personalized information for your specific tasks. Let's have a closer look through a video of how this can be done through Copilot Studio. With that, we are going to jump over to a demonstration to have a closer look at how Copilot can actually look inside the different applications. So me and Kristoffer is going to show you how Copilot looks inside of Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, Microsoft 365 Chat, and also at least Teams. So with that, I'm going to jump into Word and have a look at how this can work inside of Word. Here I am in a new Word document, and as you can see, I see a pop-up box where I can start drafting my idea using Copilot. I want to show you a few different scenarios of how we can use Copilot to start the creative process when you have an empty document. And the first thing I want to show you is how you can start using Copilot by simply using a simple prompt. So with that, I'm going to copy in my prompt. I have it already, so we don't have to type it out here. But I want to generate a document about Microsoft 365 Copilot, and I also specified here that I want to include information about benefits, features, and how to get ready. So the more specific you are in your prompt and how you write out your prompt will also give you better results and information in your new document. And here we start typing out my information, where I can see that I've received a short introduction here about what Microsoft 365 Copilot is. But you can also see I'm now starting to see some of the specifics I've asked for, such as benefits, features, and hopefully some information here at the end on how to get ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Before I'm finished with this prompt, I can still continue to fine-tune and add extra information to the original prompt. So here I can ask for a change of tone or adding more information that I want to add and until I'm happy with the results. I can also regenerate the whole document if I want to see another example of the same prompt, or I can then, when I'm happy, choose to keep it. Now we saw how you can use Copilot to generate a whole new document from scratch, but it's not necessarily that you always want to generate a whole new document. You might have some text where you want to use Copilot to work with this text. By simply holding over the text that you want to work with, you can now see the Copilot icon showing up again, and I can choose to do a few things. The first thing I want to show you is the rewrite option, where here I can get different suggestions to how to formulate similar text. So if you have your own text and you're a bit stuck and you want to get a few options of how to formulate the same text, rewrite is a great option for this. And here you can see that I've received 3 different options I can choose from. And also from here I can continue to fine-tune the tone of the message. And when I'm happy, I think this one is good, I can easily replace the existing text in the Word document. In addition, there is another feature that you might have seen a bit earlier, and that is the visualize as a table option. So again, by choosing the text I want to work with, I can now click the visualize as a table, which will help me structure and put and categorize the text that I have and feature it in a table. So if you have a lot of dates and information that you want to structure, this is a great feature to do this with. Last thing I also want to show you is how you can continue to open up the original text box that we saw in the beginning. I can easily go where I want to add more text, right in the document, and I can open the original text box. But here, since we started, you can also see a new button that's popped up called Inspire Me. So now that we have some information in the Word document that we can use with Copilot, I can use the Inspire Me button to add more suggestions and ideas for me based on what's already inside my document. So let's see what Copilot comes up with. And here you can see I've received 1 extra point here with what do you need, why do you need Microsoft 365 Copilot. So maybe it's something I haven't thought of to include in my document, and I can choose to include this if I'm happy and think this is a good addition to my document. All right, so I'm just going to remove this because I want to show you one more scenario. And this is the reference your content option. So now we created a document simply by using a prompt. But you can also start pulling in your own documents and files and information that you have in your organization. So before I do that, I want to show you quickly the document that I will be using for this example. It's a usability testing document, and as you can see, it's quite tightly written and not so easy to work with and read, really. So I want to use this document, and I'm simply going to choose the reference your content and start typing out my file, and it will give me the option here. Let me just do it again. Here we go. I can then reference this specific document that we just looked at, and by that I can specify in the prompt what I want to achieve. So here I said, using that document, create a step-by-step guide on how to use the Fabricam UX methodology, and that is what this document is about. And also specify that for each step, tell me why it's important and include specifics. So again, using that document as a reference for my prompts, I can then start to generate a new document based on that. And similar to earlier, we can now see that Copilot is starting to generate in the documents. We have an introduction here as well, and it will also start to create these step-by-steps with the importance of each steps that I have asked for. I'm actually just going to pause that because I want to show you one last thing that Copilot in Word is really great for. And I'm just going to jump back to that original document that's a bit hard to read, perhaps. And as you can see here on the top, I'm also able to open Copilot on the side. And I now showed you a few examples where you can start to generate new information in the Word document. But I'm also able to ask questions and use Copilot to get better knowledge of the document that I have. So as you can see here, I do have a few options I can choose from here. I'm just going to choose this, explain this document in 3 sentences. And here you can imagine having a 50-page Q&A that you need to work through and understand by simply using Copilot to ask questions about the document that you have. It can then pull information from different places in the document and explain it in the way that you're asking. And as you can see here, it's then created these 3 sentences with specific references to my document from where I can find this information later on. So I think that's a quick look at Word. I'm going to give the word over to Christopher for PowerPoint.
Yes. So let's look at how PowerPoint can, or how we can use Copilot in PowerPoint. So first I want to show you the document I have here in Word. It's a Word document on 2 pages, written by Copilot, of course, on how to use AI in work. I want to use PowerPoint to create a presentation about this document, but I don't want to start from scratch. So let's ask Copilot to do this for me. So what I'm saying here is create a presentation from this file and then linking to the file I have in my OneDrive. So then we just wait for Copilot to do its magic and create a presentation for me based on that 2 pages of Word document. Now we see Copilot is starting to work. Here's the outline for the presentation I'm generating, and it's also telling me about the different slides it will create for me. Then we also see a progress bar here, that's it's starting to generate the slides and how far it's gone. And soon we will have a presentation ready. So there you see, we get a presentation with 12 slides created just from that 2 pages document. One important thing to note here as well, for those that are thinking about the security of using Copilot, if you have, and you should have, labels in your Microsoft 365 environment, you can see that the Word document being used is confidential. And when Copilot is using that Word document, it's also automatically labeling the new PowerPoint as confidential because it referenced to another document that was already confidential. And this is important for the users to be aware of, that they are taking info from another confidential file. And if you take a look at this PowerPoint, it looks pretty nice. Of course, you have to do some work here as well. It's just a draft. But you save yourself a lot of time just by having half of the job done already. So now let's do a bit more. maybe we want to create another slide here. So let's add a slide about AI tools in work. And now it's just taking things either from internal or external data. It's not taking exactly from that Word document anymore. And we will see what it comes up with. And it created another slide for me. And maybe we want, now that we have 13 slides, we want to organize these slides a bit more. So we tell Copilot to organize the slides for me. Now we see that Copilot also created a few new slides, a few transition slides. So it's now 17 slides in total, and it also created then a few different titles of to differentiate the slides from each other. So just by a few minutes with Copilot in PowerPoint, we have 17 slides presentation. But maybe you don't have a Word document from before and you just want to start from scratch. So let's look at how we can use Copilot then. So now it's soon winter, so let's create a presentation about the winter and include sections about Christmas in Norway and what activities we can do out in the snow. And let's look at what Copilot can make of this. Right now, Copilot will not generate images itself. It will use stock images or images that are available in PowerPoint. But Microsoft has announced on Ignite this year that they will add DALL-E 3 to Copilot in PowerPoint, so that PowerPoint will be able to generate images when you want it to add images to your slides. So here we can see that it created a presentation with 6 slides, even with some graphics or moving objects in the starter. And we can see that it's writing about Christmas in Norway, Norwegian Christmas foods, fun activities in the snow that we asked for, and more. So, and since we don't have the generating images yet, we could ask Bing Image Creator to do this for us. So if we go into Bing and we say we want to create an image of a snowman with a carrot on the nose, we can then use Bing Chat Enterprise, or now called Copilot, to generate the image for us with DALL-E 3. And soon PowerPoint will do this itself. But this is a nice way to do it in the meantime. So let's wait until it's done generating. We see we get 4 different images of the snowman. So let's take this picture with the big snowman family, and we can just copy this into our PowerPoint and go from there. So that's how we can use Copilot in PowerPoint. We can also open other PowerPoint files and summarize these presentations if they contain information and other things. Let's move on to Excel. I'm not an Excel expert in any way, and I don't use it that much, but that's also why Copilot is a great tool for me to use if I ever need to use Excel. So here I have some demo content. It's from a marketing campaign with just, of course, the demo inside, and it's telling a bit about, we have some digital marketing, some customer experience in marketing, and also some brand marketing. As you can see when we open the Copilot on the right side here, we have to convert this info into a table to be able to use it in Excel. And Copilot can do this for us. We just press convert and it's converted into a table. Now let's look at what we can do with Copilot in Excel. So we have a lot of different info here, and we want to create a few more columns. We can also highlight data, we can sort and filter, and we can analyze the data, and we'll come back to that. But first I want to add the column about the return on investments, or ROI. So we ask Copilot to do this for us, and Copilot will then tell us first of all, what is an ROI. It's a return on investment and a bit info about that. Then it will give us the formula it will want to use. And it will also explain the formula for us if were not aware of that before. I was at least not. So let's just then click Insert Column, and it will insert a column for us. And then we can just move on to say, okay, we want to also add a few more columns. We want to add one about engagement rate. And same there, a little explanation, the formula and an explanation of the formula. And I want to add a few more columns, so I want to add one for cost per engagement as well. This way we can just keep working with Copilot all the time, add as many columns that we see that we need. We want to also add one that shows the profit. And lastly, we also want one that shows the cost per user. So whenever you just want, as long as you know what you want to achieve with Copilot in Excel, you can just ask it, and you don't need to know any of the formulas to actually create it yourself. You can also ask it to give a column suggestion if you don't know exactly what you need, but you want help from Copilot to get some creative ideas. Now let's look at how we can highlight data in these tables. So we want to highlight the 15 lowest values in ROI, and we want to fill the cell with a red color to showcase that these are low values. So there we get some red values, and let's also get some green values on the engagement rate. So here we go after the 15 highest values. Just so we have some nice colors, and let's also get some orange color in. So we want to highlight all the cells in column K and everything that is about 10 and up. So you can see in the first two we said that we wanted it in ROI, in engagement rate, but we can also just specify that we want it in column K. And on the first two we said 15 lowest, 15 highest, but we can also say just from a value of 10 and above. So now we have a few different colors. It's easier to look in this Excel document and see the differences. But let's also sort it to make it even easier for us. So let's sort by engaged user from largest to smallest. Now we can see that engaged users will then be on the top, and it will go down. This way we can just continue working with our data in Excel. And now let's look at how we can analyze this data. So I want to see the percentage distribution of campaign type. And let's look at how Copilot can do that for us. So it says we can create a pivot chart for you, and we can add it to a new sheet. So here we can see a percentage distribution of the campaign type, and we can see that digital marketing is the leading campaign, with almost half of our campaigns are digital marketing. We can also ask it for an exact number instead of asking for the percentage. We can just ask for the distribution of campaign type to actually get the numbers of how many are there. So we can see that 24 of the 50 campaigns are digital marketing. This we can just keep working on. So let's go back to the table and ask something else. Total revenue by campaign type. And we'll then get another table with some analysis. And if you don't want to ask for everything, you can just say add all insights to table, to grid. And it should add all the analysis, if it works, to the grid. So sometimes it's not answering what we want to. So let's try one last time. and there we see that it's adding all the insights available for this document to the grid. So in then sheet 4, we get all the available analysis that it thinks is available for this data. And then we just copy and paste what we want to use from here. So this is just a bit on how we can use Copilot in Excel, and of course there are many other things we can do. But now let's look a bit how can Copilot help us with our mails.
Yes, so let's jump over to Outlook and look into how Copilot can help you in Outlook. So again here, it's a few different scenarios that you can use it for. I have now opened a new mail and I want to start typing from scratch. Either I can start typing, or as you can see here already, I have the possibility to connect in and draft with Copilot. And here you get the similar pop-up as in Word as well, where you can start typing your prompts. So here I prepared a prompt. I want to prepare a briefing email to the marketing team, telling them about the Copilot event. So I'm referring to an event that will be held on the 11th of December with around 100 guests in the auditorium. So I've given some information here to start typing out my email. I can also from here choose to specify the tone of the email. So if I want it to be more neutral or casual, and today I want it to be a bit formal, but I can also add the length there if I want it to be a bit longer or shorter and more concise. So from that I can start to create my drafts. Again, this is a great starting point to get some information that you can start building around and save you some time in typing out that initial message that you want to send out. So here we got a draft. We can also here start to add more information if there's anything we'd like to change to the email before we're finished. And again, regenerate or keep it if you want to work with that. So here we got some text, we got the date in here, we got the guest amount, and all the details that I've added to my initial prompt with some information around the emails that I can start to edit and look over to save me the time from doing this. So that's one way to use Copilot to help you draft an email. But I also want to show you another option that you can use Copilot for in Outlook. Here I have an email that I want to send out to my team. So I'm asking for a status update by the end of the day. So I want to send this out today, but I want to use Copilot to help me make sure that I've got all the details and the tone is appropriate before I send out. So I'm confident before sending this email out. To do this, I can also open the Copilot icon on the top here and use the Coaching by Copilot feature. So here Copilot will start to analyze my mail and review the tone and the information that I have here. So I got some suggestions. Without Copilot actually doing any changes to my email, I can look through and do the changes if I wish. So I got the tone. It says that the email could be more polite and a bit more friendly. So if it's something I want to think about before I send it out. It's also some reader sentiment analysis here, saying that I should explain why the status update are important so they can prioritize this better. In addition, I got some information around the clarity of the mail, specify what kind of status updates that should be submitted. So these are things that I can take into consideration before sending out this mail to my team if I wish. Another cool feature in Outlook with Copilot is the summary option. So here I have an email going with a colleague, and we've been discussing some information about Copilot. And on the top here you can see the Summarize by Copilot option. So by simply pressing this, I will also be able to see the information that this conversation has been discussed about. And typical scenario, you're added to a long email thread that's been going on and you're added at the end. So by easily using the summary option to get up to speed about what has been discussed in the email. So here we see a little summary. and I can easily navigate through this email using the summary option. In addition, now that we have some information in this mail, I can use the example from, let's see, the last reply from Christopher here, and I want to use Copilot to answer this mail. I can simply press the reply all option, and before even typing anything out, I do see some option on the bottom here that refers to the context of our conversation. So I can see that now that we're discussing different features of Copilot, I appreciate your help in providing this information. I can easily schedule a demo, ask for feedback, or use a custom message again. So by simply using one of these options, it will put in a prompt based on this information and create a draft that I can use when I want to reply back to Christopher. Over to you again.
Yes. So let's look at maybe one of the coolest features in Copilot today. That's Microsoft 365 Chat. I'm guessing everyone that are looking at this have probably tried out ChatGPT before and knows what it's about. So Microsoft 365 Chat is just like ChatGPT, just that this also has access to your internal data. And Microsoft 365 Chat can be accessed from a lot of places actually. We are now inside the portal.office.com and we can access it from here. We can also access it from a new portal with copilot.microsoft.com. And we can also access it from Teams and from bing.com/chat. Let's focus on this first place here. And one important thing to notice is that we also have plugins down here. So right now I am able to add the web content into my searches, so it will also search internet when I'm searching, but I can choose to turn it off if I only want internal data from the answers I get. Let's just have it on when I'm searching now. And if you create more plugins in your company, you can also, of course, access them from here later. So let's start by looking at some internal documents. I have a few projects in Atea, so I want to get some status about these documents and create a summary about project I and project C. Let's look if M365 Chat can find it for us. So as we explained earlier, M365 Chat or Copilot will have access to everything that me as a user has Copilot that has access for. So everything in my email, everything in my OneDrive, everything in the Teams sites, SharePoint sites, it will search through with semantic index to see if it can find anything that I ask for. So here we can see that it's finding the project I and project Z set, and it's then finding a bit things from the web as well. So as you can see, it just clarifies that this is from the external data, and this is the internal data above here. And then we also get the references, so we can see where did it get data from. So we have the project set file internally, but it's also gathering a few things from the web as well, because we have the plugin turned on. Let's look at something else that Microsoft 365 Chat can do. I want to show you an example that I've been working with earlier today. When using Microsoft 365 Chat, we also get a history of everything we have searched on if you want to keep it. We can also delete these, so we don't keep a history if you want to do that. But now I just took up a history of something I asked for earlier today, and something that LLMs like ChatGPT is very good at, that I'm sure many of you know, is creating scripts. So I just want to showcase how easy it is to actually do this. So I just asked Microsoft 365 Chat to create a script that changes Windows to light mode. Something that's pretty easy to do, but just to showcase easily how this can be done with the script. So we get the reply here on how to do that, and let's run it in PowerShell. And we can just see that my Windows settings now changed to light mode. And we also then asked how can change it back to dark mode. And let's also show that. And now it's back to dark mode. So that's just one example on how we can use M365 Chat to help us creating scripts. Just let's do something more complex. I want to create a user in Azure AD with a complex password and random password on 64 characters. Make sure you also explain each part of the script as part of the script itself. So then it creates a script. I tested this earlier, it didn't work. So, and I also added a few more info about the domain and the username I wanted it to use. But it didn't work. I got an error, so I just pasted in that error message to the chat. It did some changes to the script. I tried it again, still didn't work. Pasted in the error again, and it did a few more changes, and then it actually worked and created that user. So without having any PowerShell script knowledge from before, you can actually use these tools to create scripts just by knowing what you want to do and just being able to try it out, and of course do it in a safe environment, because as we just saw, it doesn't always work, but it usually works after doing some testing. Other things we can do is to maybe we want to do a group activity in our department, and we want to ask Microsoft 365 Chat on some suggestions about this. So let's create a new chat here and ask for list 3 to 5 ideas for group activities in Oslo that would be suitable for my team. Include approximate cost and time estimates. So now we see that it's searched in the internal enterprise search, and it didn't find any information about this. So then it searched for this in internet instead that I actually wanted. So it come back with, okay, we can do an escape room, a fun and challenging activity. The cost here is approximately 300 kroner per person, and the activity takes about 1 hour. You can also do kayaking, curling, paintball, or cooking class. Everything with an approximate cost and how long it takes. So that's also another thing we can use the chat for, just creative ideas. And let's look at one last thing. Let's say we have a long document that we just want to either summarize or maybe create an FAQ for. So let's try to create an FAQ based on a public document in Atea. Let's use the code of conduct as an example. So create an FAQ based on the code of conduct in Atea. That is a public document. So this is just a document that I downloaded from Atea. It's a PDF file on about 17 pages. And we can see here that the chat just creates an FAQ for it, which is one way to actually use summarize of a document in another way. So this way we can quickly search through a document. Of course, this is a document that I actually have to read through everything, but it's a nice way to just skim through, or if I have to just prepare for a quick meeting, I can ask for an FAQ to get some quick questions and answers about this document. And I can also use follow-up questions based on this document if I want to. For example, what are the consequences of violating the code of conduct? Let's see if that is mentioned here. So every time it will then analyze the document, and if it can find the answer, it will provide the answer based on the document. If it can't find the answer directly in the document, it will then try to answer in a general way, but it will also then say that, okay, I couldn't find the answer here, but this is the general way. And here we have the answer based on the actual document, and we get the reference that it's taken from a code of conduct. All right, before we move on, I just want to show you one last thing. I showed you before how we can create images with the Bing chat directly. Just a quick tips as well. We also have what's called Bing Image Creator. That's available for everyone. So you don't even need to have Copilot license here. but if you want to create images, you can go to then bing.com/images/create and create images here on the same way that I showed you before. Right, let's look at how Copilot can help us in Teams, Vibeke.
Yes. So I want to look a bit closer with how we can use Copilot in Teams meetings specifically. And for Copilot here, we can use Copilot both after a meeting, but also while a meeting is going. So let's start with after a meeting. As you can see here, I've now gone into the recap of the meeting. So the meeting's finished and I want to go into the recap to get some better understanding of what's happened. So I have the recording here and a summary that's created by the intelligent recap. And this will also be a part of Copilot going forward. In this view, I can easily navigate between the different speaker timelines to jump to specific points in the recording. I can navigate through topics and chapters. In addition, everyone gets a automatically generated meeting note after the meeting, as well as suggestions for follow-up tasks and other information. But if I want to dig a bit deeper, besides from what is already here, I can also choose to open Copilot on the top here and ask specific questions that are only visible to me based on the transcript from the meeting. Already, I've asked a few prompts before I began. I've asked to create a table of the participants in the meeting and the roles that they have. So let's say I wasn't able to actually join this meeting and I want to get a better understanding of what was discussed. So I can now easily see the meeting participants, their roles, and I'll also ask to summarize the objective of this meeting in one sentence. And from this, I have learned that the objective of this meeting was to discuss the launch timing and the executive spokesperson for Project Falcon, a new project. So now I want to learn a bit more about this. So we're discussing a launch timing of a new product. So I want to start with asking what decisions were made. Since I wasn't in this meeting, I now want to dig a bit deeper to learn more about the different decisions that were discussed in this meeting. Here I got some possible answers, and on the top here I see the team decided to delay the launch of Project Falcon by 2 weeks. So this is quite a big change, and we're now delaying this product launch. So from Copilot, I now learned a few additional informations and decisions that came out of this meeting. I want to dig a bit deeper into this big change and delay of the new product. So I want to ask, was it an easy decision? Kind of pulling on the sentiment analysis to see, was it an easy decision or was there a lot of different arguments to why this should be delayed or not? And I can see here from Copilot that no, it wasn't an easy decision, and the team had different opinions and concern about the delay of the launch. So this is interesting, and I learned that it wasn't an unanimous agreement to do this delay. So let's dig a bit deeper as well. Knowing that there was different arguments about this delay, I'm now asked to create a list of pros and cons of this decision and put it in a table. So I want to clearly see why this delay of this product launch could be a good idea or why it might not be a good idea. And here I got a few different points. I see that pros can be ensuring product quality and user experience. I can see cons here could be lose competitive advantage and market share. So putting the arguments that was discussed in the meeting, so based on what was discussed, and organize it for me. You can also see here again the different sources from the transcript that I can easily read and go over to see what was actually said in the meeting. I want to show you one more option here, or one more prompt. And I want to ask Copilot, what date does Copilot think that this new launch event should be at? And I'm now asking Copilot to start putting in reason and start thinking and giving me a reply based on discussion points that we had in the meeting. And And I've got a reply here, and where Copilot suggests the best day for lunch would be September 2nd. And it also gives me reason and because, and then gives me the points here. It would allow for products to be properly tested, and a few points down based on what was discussed. So now that I've actually got a specific date from Copilot with also reason behind why that could be a good idea. So this is an example where we're asking a question after a meeting is finished to understand what has been said, but you can also use Copilot while a meeting is going. And I've turned on a meeting for myself in the background just so I could illustrate this function. So I've jumped into this meeting here just to show you how this can work. And as you can see on the top here, the meeting is coming to an end here. And when this happens, you can also see that Copilot gives you a notification where you can open Copilot and start summarizing the meeting that you had. So here we get a generate meeting notes prompt. You've all been in this meeting that we had going, so let's see if it can summarize accurately what me and Kristoffer has been talking about today. And here we see a response coming in, so we can look over together here. We started with an introduction of Microsoft 365 Copilot. You can see also here that Vibeke and Kristoffer explained the benefits, features, and security aspect of Copilot. So we had the introduction of Copilot in the beginning. Then we went into a demo of Copilot in Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And without us actually sharing our screen, sharing these topics specifically, we just talked about it. It managed to categorize it and highlight the different points that we have gone through here. Further, a demo of Copilot in Outlook and Microsoft 365 Chat. So Vibeke and Kristoffer demonstrated how Copilot can help draft, coach, and summarize emails in Outlook, and how we demonstrated those applications. And lastly here, demo of Copilot in Teams. Vibeke showed how Copilot can help summarize, analyze, and follow up meeting transcripts, both during and after a meeting. So quite good summary, I would say, just about the different points that we have discussed here. And here we can continue while the meeting is going. We can suggest follow-up questions. I will ask this for you guys, so maybe you can ask these questions in the Q&A if it's anything good. But so yeah, here you can continue to ask relevant questions for the meeting while it's going on. So.
And for those wondering about privacy, can you tell us a bit about who can see that you're chatting with Copilot on the side in the meeting?
Yeah, so this view is only visible to me and for the users that are using it in the meeting. So it's a private view where you can ask questions where only you can see these questions, as well as after the meeting as well. So a great way to become a better meeting participant as well.
Great.
And here we see a few suggested follow-up questions around, you see some security compliance questions here, and availability and different questions that we haven't really discussed that you can ask if you want to. So that was it for the demonstration. I will let Kristoffer say a few finishing words.
That's great, and I guess Teams Copilot is probably what we're using most. Every meeting we just have Copilot. We have, of course, we have transcribe on, and then we just use Copilot on the next, giving us the meeting notes, and we don't have to write it ourselves when participating. So I hope you found the demo inspiring and insightful. Now let's talk a bit about how to get ready to use Copilot for Microsoft 365.
Och med det säger vi tack till Vibeke och Kristoffer för en väl genomförd demo av Microsoft 365 Copilot. Jag hoppas verkligen att det gav er en hel del insikter och idéer om vad man kan använda Copilot till och hur det skulle kunna användas i er verksamhet. Hur Atea har använt det och hur vi har dragit lärdomar och erfarenheter, det vill vi jättegärna dela med oss av till er. Atea har ju nämligen som en av få organisationer globalt varit en del av det så kallade Early Access Program. Och alltså dragit en hel del lärdomar redan i hela koncernen. Och det sättet som vi gärna delar med oss av de erfarenheterna till er är via den metod som vi kallar för Atea 365. Och vad är då Atea 365-metoden? Atea 365 är Ateas metod för att ta sig till Microsoft 365 och även få ut ytterligare effekt och nytta av de verktyg som finns där. Den fungerar både för de kunder som inte kommit igång och för de som kommit en bit och vill vidare. Varför behövs det då en metod för det här? Ja, det är många olika delar som krävs och vi får inte missa någon av dem. Atea 365 bygger på alla de Microsoft 365 och Office 365-projekt som Atea utfört under många år. Atea 365 bygger på de lärdomar och erfarenheter som vi fått under åren och stöttar er gärna i er resa. Nu har vi också gjort en tydlig väg framåt för Microsoft 365 Copilot. Hur fungerar då Ateas metod? Jo, genom de 3 spåren i Atea 365, verksamhet, säkerhet och teknik, så ser vi till att allt får den uppmärksamhet det kräver och behöver. I verksamhetsspåret börjar vi med att svara på frågan: är Microsoft 365 Copilot något för oss? Och sluta med att säkerställa att vi fått den effekt vi vill ha. Att få en ny funktion ger ju ingen effekt. Användarna måste få förutsättningarna och kunskapen att kunna använda den för att det ska ge någon effekt. I säkerhetsspåret börjar vi med att belysa vilka lagar och regler som appliceras i en så kallad risk- och sårbarhetsanalys. Och vilka tekniska skydd och hjälpmedel det finns. Vi tittar både ur ett informationssäkerhetsperspektiv och ur ett IT-säkerhetsperspektiv. Och självklart måste ju tekniken få vara med för att få en så smidig förflyttning och förvaltning som möjligt utan problem. Det finns till exempel en identitetshantering som fungerar. Produkterna behöver vara installerade och implementerade på rätt sätt. Så vad börjar man då? Ja, kontakta oss. Vi rekommenderar en så kallad Microsoft 365 Copilot Workshop som är till för att undersöka och säkerställa att tekniken och säkerheten finns på plats, men också för att säkerställa ett gott användarmottagande. Vi gör bland annat en readiness assessment där vi säkerställer just teknik och säkerhet finns på plats. Vi tittar på vad Microsoft Copilot kan göra för er i er organisation. Och vi bygger en plan med scenarios, roller och aktiviteter framöver. Så, ta gärna kontakt med oss på Atea, din lokala Atea-representant. Eller gå in på atea.se/copilot så kan ni komma i kontakt med oss den vägen. Och med det önskar jag er en fortsatt trevlig dag och tacka för att ni tog er tid och var här med oss en liten stund. Tack och hej!
Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Stand still, that's the motto, yeah. Brand new bands for the auto, oh. Foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield guy, boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never getting outbid. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't ever do it, okay, how's it? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To-do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Okay. Look, flows the same now. Paved the way to snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back to back, I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.